There's no way to fix the mutation, but there's ways to support my body to help my mito function as well as they possibly can. And this is one of those ways. I am wearing the same pajamas as yesterday, but that's okay. You know, I said this weekend was for resting and recuperating, and that means PJs for days. But anyways, I said in my last upload that as I go through the new treatments my geneticist prescribed for my mito today, I would take y'all through the process. Part of that entails something I've been doing for years already, which is changing the needle in my port. I do it once a week. And I thought I'd show you all the aftermath. There is a lot of trash involved in this, but you know, do it all sterilely, and then thankfully my port was an easy access this morning, and now I'm gonna clean up and we'll get started on those treatments. Okay, so if you did not watch yesterday's upload about the genetics consult update, I recommend doing so because there's a lot of good information. But anyways, one of the treatments I've been put on by my geneticist specifically for my mito is this. It's by prescription only. It is Levocarnitine, and it is used to treat and prevent carnitine deficiency, which several people with mito have. And carnitine is a compound in your body used for metabolic processes. It helps take fatty acids into the mitochondria, which are in all of your cells. They're the powerhouse of the cell. They are responsible for creating energy, and the carnitine helps transport the fatty acids to the mitochondria so they can use it for energy production. Well, I'm deficient in carnitine like a lot of other people with mito, as I'm pretty sure I just said that. And so this is basically giving my body what it is deficient in. And carnitine deficiencies can result in a lot of different problems. For me specifically, it results in GI problems, vomiting especially, and also in muscular problems like spasms and weakness and pain, all things that I experience. So he believes by fixing my deficiency, I'm already going to see a significant improvement. Now, unfortunately, this won't fix everything, because while I am deficient in carnitine and replacing the deficiency, like it sounds, oh, what an easy fix. Don't forget that I have mitochondrial disease, so my mito are mutated, meaning they don't function properly to begin with. There's no way to fix the mutation, but there's ways to support my body to help my mito function as well as they possibly can, and this is one of those ways. You'll also notice that this is in liquid form, and that's because it's easier for me to administer it through my feeding tube that way. And for those of y'all who are new or just don't know, my feeding tube does not go to my stomach. It's a J tube. It goes to my small intestine, the jejunum, hence the term, J tube. And so my medications and feeds, when I run them, bypass my stomach, which is the most problematic area of my GI tract. But anyways, I asked the geneticist, why is it that when I'm able to eat orally pretty well for my nutrition, that taking medications orally, whether they're in pill or liquid form, just isn't as effective for me? And his response is that with mito, the motility of your GI tract can be very hard to understand and also very unpredictable. He says my J-tube is actually going to be one of my greatest tools, because we know my motility in my stomach is where the problems lie. And so we know that my medications will be consistently effective if I put them through my J-tube or my central line. So what he also explained is a lot of his patients have GI problems, not enough to warrant a feeding tube. So the only way they can take medication is orally. And even though they can eat enough to sustain themselves, they'll find that if they do vomit, their medications come up whole and undigested. And that happens to me as well. Even when I'm eating okay, if I happen to puke, my pills will come up whole. And he said some of his patients can even read the numbers etched in the pills. They don't break down at all. He's just like, it's hard to understand, but it's a mito thing. It really is. So that's why we are probably planning to keep my tube for quite a long time, because
even if I reach a point where I haven't had to run feeds for like a year, which definitely hasn't happened. I mean, that's the goal. But even if we reach that point, for medications, it's a lot more reliable and I'll get more consistent, effective results putting it through my tube rather than taking it orally. And he's just found that to be true for lots of his Mito patients. And then also the whole unpredictability thing, I could be doing well now, but like in the future, I could have a lot of issues eating again. As y'all know, even though I'm making good progress, it's been a lot of up and down. So he's pretty content that I have this tube because it's a good tool to have to combat my illnesses. But anyways, I need to administer this now, so I will show y'all. And it says easy as that. You know, I take 10 milliliters morning and night, which is equivalent to 1 gram morning and night. And then depending on what my blood work shows when I have my follow-up with my geneticist, we may tweak the frequency and dosage. And because somebody always asks, I actually don't feel this going in. The only time I'll feel it is if it's colder, but I don't like to use cold liquids in my tube because if it's too cold, it can actually cause spasms because your intestine's like a warm area. And then if I push too fast or like too much volume at once, then it'll hurt because your small intestine doesn't like expand like your stomach does. So you actually can't have that much milliliters at once or as quickly. So I'm just mindful, and I don't feel anything going into my tube. So I was also started on a new treatment that actually replaced something I was doing in the past. About 3 to 4 times a week, I would run 1 liter of lactated ringers, which is basically saline with like some electrolytes. And I am no longer to use normal saline or LR because another solution called D10 and D5, which is basically dextrose with saline, so there's glucose in it, is more beneficial for my body by a long shot. Apparently this is way more what my body needs, and it's because, like I said, the mitochondria with the mito disease, there's a lot of trouble with energy production and transportation, and so my cells will be able to easily take energy from the glucose in this solution. And these are the boxes my home health company sends me. I usually get 1 a week, y'all, maybe 2. There's 4. There was a little bit of a miscommunication. He said that how much I need is up to my discretion. He says 3 to 4 a week minimum, and that's what I was going to start with. But he said I could do up to 2 liters a day. I told my home health company just send me 4 liters for the week. I think they sent me the maximum, which is like 2, which is like 14 bags, because it's a lot. Which is fine. Like, I just have enough for a few weeks now, I guess. Or if I feel like I need more, thankfully, I guess I have more. It was just like when the delivery guy came, I was like, are those all for me? Oh my goodness. A little overwhelming. So let me show y'all what's in these mass amounts of boxes. So this is stuff like syringes to administer IV medication, and like these are the needles for my port. So it's not just the D10 or D5 solutions, it's also like all of my home health supplies. And then, whoops, I will pick that up. These are like the sterile kits I use to access my port and like change the needle out weekly. We got swab caps, which stay at the end of my port. They have alcohol in it to keep the end like clean when I'm not using it. And then here, okay, I had to flip it over because like my address and stuff was on the other side, but these are the, oh my gosh. This is the dextrose solutions. Let me see, I'm just gonna cover it with my hand. So yeah, it's the 10% dextrose injection, and it's supposedly really gonna make a difference. Yeah, they sent me way too much, but it's fine because it just means I have enough supply for a few weeks. And thank goodness I have this mini fridge, because this would not have fit in our refrigerator in the kitchen. It says they have to be refrigerated. Maybe it's because it's a different solution. My LR and saline I didn't have to refrigerate, but I mean, maybe because it's a different solution. I also keep my IVIG in here, and then This is actually another medication that was prescribed to me by the geneticist. It is Marinol, which is a THC derivative, but it's a prescription medication. It does make me a little drowsy, but it doesn't affect me like medical cannabis does. But this helped a lot with my nausea and abdominal pain, but it's not something to take like regularly. It's just whenever I need it. And he also gave me lorazepam, which is generic Ativan. And I explained this in yesterday's video. I'm not a fan of Ativan. I don't like the drug. The only exception is if I'm inpatient in the hospital and like really struggling emotionally because I'm doing very unwell, then I'll take some. But he said it's a really low dose, and it's not for the emotional component, the anti-anxiety effect. It's actually a muscle relaxer. And yesterday when I was having a lot of spasms in my abdominal area, like really hurting, I dissolved it in water and then pushed it through my feeding tube, and it really did help with the intestinal spasms. So I'm glad he knew to do that because no one had ever thought of that before. And the Marinol is in the mini fridge because when I picked it up, my pharmacist said that's the best place to store it. It can, like if I was going somewhere, I could put it in my backpack and it would be okay, but she said just for storage purposes, keep it in the fridge. It keeps it more effective, I guess. And it's fine because like thank goodness I have this mini fridge for storing temperature sensitive treatments and medications, because otherwise our kitchen fridge would be like totally overrun. But yeah, those are my treatments. So the two regular treatments I'm doing now for my mito are the D10, D5 solutions and the Levocarnitine. And then as needed, when like symptoms are flaring, I can use the Ativan and the Marinol for GI complications and vomiting and abdominal pain. And just so y'all know the difference between D5 and D10, it's just the percentage. D5 is the 5% dextrose and D10 is the 10% dextrose. And no, I'm not tucking in my infusion bags. I'm using the blanket to cover the prescription label that has my address and like my personal information. But I'm actually gonna hook up to a D10 right now. Well, I am hooked up and infusing. I've got the liter in the bag, the pump at the bottom. Yesterday I ran a D5 and it made a difference. And today I'm running the first D10. He said to do the 5% first, then 10%, see what works best for me. But the treatments he's already started me on, they've made a positive impact and a difference. So I'm just excited to see how things improve with time. And I'm really thankful to find a geneticist who's ready to like treat the root cause of my issues, not just the resulting conditions, which, I mean, we can't ignore those, but I feel like this is honestly the most practical and most beneficial approach. So Harlow and I are just gonna continue taking it easy this weekend. Right, Hippo? Are you asleep? Oh, she's so cute. And with that, I'll say goodbye. And thanks for joining us on our adventure.